Every night, in a valley in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, a light appears. It has been appearing almost every single night since 1966. It changes color. It rises above the tree line. It appears during power outages, during snowstorms, on nights when no cars travel the road. And in nearly 60 years, no one has found the source. The Ottawa National Forest covers nearly 1 million acres of the Upper Peninsula, one of the most remote stretches of land in the continental United States. Dense pine forest, glacial lakes, rivers that have been running the same courses for 10,000 years. The Anishinaabe people, the Ojibwe and their relations, have lived in relationship with this landscape for centuries before European contact, and their oral traditions carry the memory of this land in ways that written history cannot fully capture. It is not a landscape that invites easy explanation. It does not yield its stories readily. The specific valley where the light appears sits off Robbins Pond Road, outside the small community of Paulding, population just over 100. The road dead ends at a gravel viewing area. There is a wooden platform there, built by the local community, where people can stand and watch the valley below. And there is a sign, an official United States Forest Service sign that tells you what you are looking at. The sign says, "Legend explains the presence of the Paulding Light as a railroad brakeman's ghost, destined to remain forever at the site of his untimely death, doomed to swing his signal lantern for eternity." That is what the Forest Service sign says. The sign does not explain why the light changes color, or why it rises above the tree line, or why it appears on nights when no railroad runs anywhere near that valley. The ghost story is worth sitting with for a moment, because it is genuinely good. Somewhere in the late 19th or early 20th century, a railroad brakeman was killed on the tracks that once ran through the Upper Peninsula. The details shift depending on who is telling it. Some say he was struck by a train he never saw coming. Some say he fell from a moving car on a dark night, and the train passed over him before anyone knew he was gone. Some versions are more specific and more gruesome than that. What every version agrees on is the lantern. He was carrying a signal lantern when he died, and his ghost, the story goes, still walks those tracks at night, still swinging that lantern, still trying to flag down a train that never comes, or looking, in some versions, for something he lost in the dark. It is a melancholy story, a human story, a ghost with a reason, a grief, a task he cannot complete. The kind of story that makes the darkness feel inhabited by something we can understand, something that was once a person, carrying a light for reasons we recognize. People still come to Robbins Pond Road hoping to see exactly that, a lantern in the dark, something that was once human, still going through the motions. The problem is what they actually see, because what witnesses describe from the viewing platform is not a lantern swinging in the dark. It is a light that changes from white to red, a light that rises 60 feet above the tree line and hangs there. A light that has been observed splitting into multiple points simultaneously. A brakeman's ghost carrying a signal lantern does not explain any of that. And the people who have watched the Paulding Light for decades know it. In 2010, a group of students from Michigan Technological University decided to find out what the light actually was. Their methodology was straightforward. Drive a car down US 45, 5 miles north of the valley, and observe whether the light appeared in sync with the headlights. It did. They repeated the experiment multiple times. The correlation held. They published their findings, The Paulding Light was an optical phenomenon caused by headlights refracting through the specific topography of the valley. The physics were sound. The methodology was reasonable. The local community said, "That is not what we have been seeing." Their objections were specific rather than merely sentimental. The light had been observed on nights of heavy snowfall that closed US 45 entirely, nights of power outages that eliminated other potential light sources, nights when local observers had specifically positioned themselves to monitor traffic on the highway while others watched the valley. The correlation the Michigan Tech students found did not account for all the documented observations. It accounted for some of them. And some of them, the ones that don't fit, are the ones that have kept people coming back to Robbins Pond Road for nearly 60 years. What witnesses actually describe in their own words across nearly 6 decades of documented accounts is something more specific than a distant light source. They describe a light that appears to be aware of its observers, a light that has been seen to approach the viewing platform, not drifting, not refracting, but moving with apparent direction and intention. A light that retreats when approached. A light that has changed color in real time while under continuous observation, white to red and back again within a single sighting. A light that has been observed by multiple witnesses simultaneously from different positions in the valley, each reporting different apparent distances and angles of approach, in ways that a single refracted source 5 miles away cannot geometrically account for. A light that appears, on certain nights, to pulse, rhythmically, consistently, in a pattern that witnesses struggle to describe as random. None of this is proof of anything. None of it constitutes scientific evidence in any formal sense. But it is what people say they have seen, and the people who say it are not looking for a mystery. They would be perfectly happy with an explanation. They simply cannot accept one that doesn't account for what they have personally observed. The valley has been here for 10,000 years. The Anishinaabe have known it for most of that time, not as a curiosity or a tourist destination, but as a place with its own character, its own history, its own relationship to the people who have lived alongside it. The glacial lakes, the ancient rivers, the forest that has stood here since the ice retreated. This is a landscape that does not yield its history to casual visitors. What the Anishinaabe tradition says about the lights in this particular valley is not fully documented in any public record, because not everything that belongs to a tradition is meant to be public. What can be said is this: the experience of light phenomena in remote wilderness landscapes appears in indigenous oral traditions across North America in ways that predate automotive traffic by centuries. The lights were not invented by the arrival of cars. The cars may explain some of what people see on Robbins Pond Road. They do not explain what was seen before the road existed. There is no monster in this valley. There is no curse, no creature born of human suffering, no experiment gone wrong in a government facility. There is a viewing platform that a community built because enough people kept coming to look. There is a Forest Service sign that offers a ghost story as an explanation, and that ghost story is genuinely beautiful. A brakeman with a lantern walking the tracks forever, carrying his light through the dark for reasons the living cannot follow. And then there is the light itself, appearing every night in a valley in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, changing color, rising above the treeline, appearing on nights when no cars travel the road and no power runs through the lines. Science offered an answer. The answer fit some of the evidence. The light kept coming back and kept doing things the answer didn't account for. Some things exist outside the explanations we build for them. not because the explanations are wrong, but because the thing is larger than any single explanation can hold. The people of Paulding know this. They built a platform to watch from. And the light appears, and they cannot tell you what it is, only that it is there, and that it has always been there, and that it will be there long after the last person who tried to explain it has stopped trying. Part 2 tells the story of a light on the other side of the world that has been doing the same thing for considerably longer. In a landscape so vast and so flat that the light can be seen for miles, following travelers who stray too far from the path. Same fear, different shore.